Guys, what's going on? Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. Hope everything's good wherever you guys are. Guys, Benavidez and Canelo is obviously a fight that we want to see. And it looks like it just looks like that Canelo is saying that Benavidez talks too much. Um, I don't like the fact that he talks too much. Um, I do agree that I think Benavidez does talk too much. However, I think Benavidez is young, he's hungry, and he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez. So he probably thinks by him talking, he'll get the fight. Um, Benavidez is a good fighter. I think he went up in my estimation after beating Caleb Plant. I thought he did very well. I don't think Benavidez is this powerhouse that people make out. I don't think Benavidez has got a lot of power. I don't think he's got a lot of punching power because, we saw Canelo stop Caleb Plant, but Benavidez couldn't stop him. Benavidez more beat him down, but Caleb Plant was able to stay in there. Obviously, Canelo's got more power because he had more, when he hit a Plant was more hurt and he was more stunned. So clearly, Canelo has more zip, more sting and more hurt in his punches, which is, I think, quite obvious from their both fights. But I think Benavidez will cause Canelo problems, especially if Canelo can't hurt Benavidez. I think Benavidez could outwork Canelo. He's a lot bigger. He's taller. And that could make a significant difference in the fight. If Canelo isn't able to hurt Benavidez, that fight could be very interesting. Because Canelo's at the stage of his career, well, I'm not sure if he can outwork anybody. So I think that fight's a lot more interesting, and I think Benavidez could outwork Canelo. But again, I don't know how tough Benavidez is. I don't know how much. I don't know how good his chin is. These are things that I think haven't been tested because as good as Plant is as a boxer, and I rate Plant, and like I said, Benavidez went up in my estimation. Canelo Alvarez hits a lot harder than Caleb Plant, so Benavidez isn't going to be able to take shots. However, he did impress me against Plant because I did think his defense was a lot better than what, especially towards the back end of that fight. I think the first half of the fight, Plant's speed was causing a few issues, but then afterwards, Benavidez just took over and beat up Plant. Canelo Alvarez is more of a threat because Canelo can punch, and that could change the course of the fight at any given moment. But Benavidez is big. He's very strong, and he's a natural. I mean, he's a guy that some people call a bully at the weight, so a weight bully. So that for me is a big that could be a big problem for Canelo because if Plant is able to keep Canelo at distance, yeah, and just pepper away. I mean, sorry, not Plant. Benavidez is able to keep Canelo at range and just pepper away, then that could become difficult for Canelo. But I do think this is a very, very interesting fight. I think a lot of people think that Benavidez wants to fight with Canelo, which I think he does. But I do think Benavidez is playing this out. I think he sees that Canelo's on the slide, and he thinks that the more I wait, the better this is stacked up in my favor. The more Canelo Alvarez fights, the more I wait, because I think Benavidez has now realized the fight is so big that Canelo eventually will have to take that fight. I don't think Canelo can finish his career without fighting Benavidez at this point. I think there'll be too much pressure on him. And I think people will say that actually he avoided that fight. And maybe you say the same with Bivol. If he doesn't fight Bivol again, people will be like, yeah, he realized he couldn't beat Bivol. And that's why he didn't fight Dimitri Bivol. So Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion, is gonna have to run these back, or run it back with Bivol, and I think he's gonna have to fight Benavidez. If he doesn't, I do think then he puts himself in a position where I think he's jeopardizing his legacy a little bit, because obviously people will be like, oh, you didn't fight Bivol because you knew you couldn't beat Bivol. Benavidez, people will say, actually, you didn't fight Benavidez because you knew Benavidez was going to be a problem for you. So Canelo needs to not allow people to build up that perception. And to be honest, I think it's a fight, although I do think it's a lot tougher than what I initially thought, because I think Benavidez is a lot better than what I initially thought. I still favor Canelo to win the fight, even at this point in his career. So I think Canelo should embrace that fight and welcome that fight. I don't think Canelo should avoid that fight. I don't think there's a need to avoid that fight because I think it's a fight that he wins. But like I said, Canelo seems to not like guys that talk a lot. Like Andrade talks a lot, Benavidez talks a lot. But what Canelo's got to understand is that those guys want the fight. They want the fight and they're desperate and they want to fight him. And when you're not getting something like Amir Khan when he was in pursuit of Mayweather, he was calling Mayweather out and he couldn't help himself. Mayweather didn't like the fact that Amir Khan kept giving him shit. Mayweather didn't like the fact that Amir Khan kept talking. But when you're a guy and you want the fight and that guy's not giving it you and he keeps pulling the plug, I do think that Canelo's not like Mayweather. Mayweather kept pulling the plug out of below Khan's feet, which was kind of like playing with Khan a little bit. Where I don't think Canelo's playing with Benavidez. I do think Canelo will fight Benavidez. That's the difference. I don't think Floyd Mayweather ever had the intention to fight Khan. He wanted to, in my opinion, play with Khan. And he was never going to fight him. And that's what he did. He never was going to fight Amir Khan, in my opinion. Whereas I don't think Canelo's like that. I don't think Canelo's the type of guy where he's playing with somebody. Maybe with Andrade, I don't think he has. I do think he has a distaste for Andrade, Canelo. So I won't be surprised if he never gets in the ring with Andrade. I know a lot of Andrade fans seem to think that the reason why he doesn't get in the ring with Andrade because he doesn't think he can beat him. I don't think so. I think he has a disdain for Demetrius Andrade. I do. I think Canelo has a disdain for Andrade because of the stuff that Andrade has said about him. And to be honest, some people will say, well, if Canelo feels that way, then get in the ring and sort out the differences. If you feel that this guy's talking shit, then get in the ring and batter him like how old school guys used to do it. But sometimes some people like Canelo, because Canelo's in such a power position in boxing, he may feel that by not fighting him and not giving him a payday is torturing him. Do you see what I mean? Because he knows that Andrade's career hasn't been like Canelo's. Andrade hasn't had the financial opportunities that he's had. So he's thinking, by me giving him this opportunity, I'm giving him a massive payday. Fighters think whooped now. Amir Khan did the same thing with Kell Brook. Fighters have a whooped kind of thinking in today's time. They feel like, yeah, I'm going to punish you, but I'm going to punish you by fighting, and I'm not going to give you a payday because you don't get the opportunities like I do. Whereas back in the day, fighters were like, yeah, I'm gonna punish you. I'm gonna get in the ring and I'm gonna absolutely batter you. That's what fighters used to think 20, 30 years ago. But unfortunately, we've now gone down a road where actually fighters, the way they punish each other is by actually not fighting each other, by not giving each other paydays, which I think is not great for boxing, because that's what makes great rivalry. When Canelo says, oh, they talk a lot, that's what makes great rivalry. That's what makes their needle. That's why we want to see the press conference. That's why we want to see the press conference between Andrade and Canelo. I think the press conference between Andrade and Canelo would be very interesting because I don't think Andrade would hold back. Like Jamel, I don't think the Charlos really have that kind of needle with Canelo. I think they've always been a bit respectful. You know, that's why we were interested to see the Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo press conference. Because there was needle there, because Billy Joe had said things in the past. The same thing with Plant. Plant had said things about Canelo. So we knew there was going to be needles there. So when there's a bit of needle, that's what we like. We like the build-up, and then we like the fight, because both guys are then fighting with spite. Canelo's fighting with spite. So that's why we like a build-up that has needle. And that's why I don't think Canelo should look to punish people if they talk too much, because that's what makes the fight bigger. Like Canelo Andrade back 7, 8, 10 years ago may have been a crap fight. And what I mean by that, it may have been a fight that nobody's interested in. Now so many people will be interested in. Even though Andrade isn't a household name, it's the fact that he's talked so much that fight would be massive if it happens. Maybe not so much now, because Andrade has kind of gone missing and he's become very irrelevant at this point because of the fact that he's in activity. We don't even know what he's doing. When was the last time Andrade fought? I can't even remember. Because that's like Andrade's last fight was, I don't know, when was it? When was it? I can't even remember. But that's where he's at. Andrade. But Benavidez is on everyone's lips. Benavidez is somebody that everyone's talking about. Benavidez is somebody that is now seen as a major rival to Canelo Alvarez. So it's not like if Canelo doesn't fight Andrade, who cares at this point? Canelo doesn't fight Benavidez, that'd be a major impact. And I know some of you are gonna say, oh well, no, he doesn't need to fight Benavidez. No, he does. He does. He does. Nobody was calling out for a Jamel Charlo fight, but people were calling out for a Benavidez fight. Right? Neutral fans want to see that fight. The only fans that, and even major Canelo fans want to see that fight. But the only fans that don't want to see a Canelo kind of fanboys that would say, oh, well, he doesn't need to fight Benavidez. No, he does at this point. And he needs to fight Bivol as well. Again, in my opinion. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what your opinion is. And by the way, I think he beats Benavidez. That's just my opinion. I know some people think Benavidez beats him, but I think Canelo beats Benavidez quite comfortably. I think he's the better fighter, and I think Canelo beats him. But, I think it's a great fight. But yeah, leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. I'd love to know your opinions about this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.